Hey YouTube, welcome back to my little shop on the floor of my room. Alright, so first off, you need to take apart your spyderco, and I highly recommend you put everything in some kind of container. For me, it's just the other half of my Torx screwdriver box. So everything you see on this piece of G10 is probably what you're going to need to polish up. So here you have your backlock mechanism, your two liners for this is for a spyderco endura, and your blade and your two washers. These are things you're probably going to polish up. I don't think people have too much of a problem taking apart their knife. It's getting it back together that they have a problem with. So I didn't really want to show that. Plus, it'll just eat up time. In this, you'll if you have problems putting it back together, I have another video out there on how to put it back together. There's plenty of other people who show you how to do that also. So first of all, this one's already been partially done. You can kind of see right here that this part's mirror polish. You can see the camera in it, but the other side, not so much. So I'm not really going to go into, or I'm not going to polish up the whole thing. I'm just going to polish this one side for you guys so you guys can see the difference. You'll really only need to polish the two sides that are pressing against the blade, because there's nothing moving on this side. So for the guys who want to do the minimalist, you just polish up the inside like I have here. For those of you that like to have like secret hidden things about your knife that nobody besides you will know, you can polish up the whole inside. And when you look in between your liners, you'll see like your reflection in it. Anyways, so starting off, first you need some sandpaper, but not just any kind of sandpaper. You probably want something real high up there. For myself, I started off with some 600 grit sandpaper, because it's pretty smooth here already. You don't really need anything besides polishing. So if we start this one off with some 600 grit, you could just sand it by hand. I find that if your sandpaper tends to clog pretty often, just put on some WD-40 in your sandpaper while you sand. I don't think I'll need it in this case. So you can do it by hand. You can mask it off if you really want a straight, distinct line. I think I've done this on this side, but you can't really tell right now. There's a whole bunch of grease from when I've been using my knife. So just for your liner, you can tell that all the lines on your liner were the directions that you sanded. That's when you know you're kind of done with that grit, when all the lines are the direction you sanded. So for me, I sanded horizontally. I don't know if you guys can see that, but all the lines on there are horizontal. So now I'll move on to my 1500 grit once I find it and take it out. Where are you? 400. Here we go. So you see you have some 1500. So take the liner you just worked on. Same liner. Polish up the side. I usually don't do it this way. I usually put it on a flat surface and sand it so you can make sure you're really fine. But just because I'm doing it in front of the camera, I'm doing it this way. And as you can see now, it's better, but not really quite there yet. But the next step will really get you there. What you want to do is you want to go get some polishing compound. This is this green polishing compound I got from Lowe's. Melted in some oil to soften it up. What you'll do is you'll grab a small amount. If you put too much, the stuff flies everywhere if you use a Dremel, which is what I'm going to do in this case. You guys who don't want to go out and buy a Dremel if you don't have one, you guys can do this by hand with a cloth and with a cloth. Hold on, I'm plugging my Dremel. and you want to just do that. Sorry if this gets loud, guys. That's just the way it is. You can see the metal coming off and my polishing wheel turning black. Alright, let me get a towel to wipe this off. And there you go. You can now see the camera reflection on there, so that's nice and polished. I guess maybe a word of warning, if you're doing something like your whole entire blade, if you want to mirror polish it this way, be careful. It can get hot. I'm not sure if it could get hot enough to ruin your temper on your blade. But always better safe than sorry. Just dunk it in water every time you polish it, every time you make a pass on it. Alright, so the surfaces you want to polish are your two liners, the two parts that sandwich your blade. You don't really need to do the outsides. You want to polish your backlock. I polish the whole thing just for aesthetics. And you can see that is a nice mirror polish. You can see the camera on there. You want to polish up your two washers, as ridiculous as that sounds. Unless your knife is broken in already, you probably want to maybe just go over this with, maybe just by hand, put some polishing compound and rubbing that down. You don't want to do it too much because these are really thin from Spyderco already, so you don't want to wear those out too much. And yeah, and also of course your pivot point. You can kind of see, you don't really need to polish this whole part right here, this whole part of the tang. You only need to polish where the wear is, so polish around there and where your backlock will contact. As you can see here, that's a real nice mirror polish right there. And you want to polish all that part and all that part. Another important part on this backlock is you really want to get in here. Sorry about that. Right in there, this part right here. That's because this will be the part that contacts onto your backlock, and that'll give you that nice glass feeling when this slides across that. There is a slight angle. I don't know if that was in frame, so I'll just show that again. When it slides like that. Okay. And this actually locks in there. When your blade is out, it'll lock back like that. So when this is in your knife, you want that to be as smooth as possible. So this surface here and this bottom surface here are probably one of the most critical parts. You'll see that that's at an angle, and it's like, how the heck do I get that? Polishing it by hand is not that big of a deal, but if you want to, or if you just polish it like this, it's not that big of a deal. But if you like something more structured, in case you're afraid of rounding off the edges, get something round like that kind of matches the curve, and then you see how well that fits, and you just go back and forth like that on top of your medium. You'll wrap your sandpaper on top around your curved object, of course, and then you'll polish off with the Dremel and the polishing compound. I don't know if you guys can see, but there are a few scratches. Like when sand gets in your knife, it will scratch up this nice mirror polish, so you may have to touch it up once in a while. I really didn't feel the difference after like maybe about a month of carrying it and it having sand in there, so I don't think that's too big of a problem, guys. So yeah, that's basically how you get a mirror polish on there. Let me see if I could grab that liner again. Which one? It would be this one that I just polished up. Nice and polished. Get it all like that and put your knife back together, and it should feel like glass on glass. Be sure to rinse off all the green polishing compound that you've put on your knife, because it will feel kind of gritty if you leave that polishing compound in there. Make sure to rinse your knife off thoroughly. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks, guys.